of the Ask DK show, and I'm Dylan Kolstad. So today we've got a guest on the show, Marc Buhrer. Marc is the founder of both Game for Humanity and Ludoviva. So I've got a lot of questions that I want to ask you on behalf of our viewers. So the first thing is, how did you come up with this idea? So maybe just tell everyone the idea of Game for Humanity, because when I heard this idea, I was like, oh my goodness, this is the best thing I've heard of in like my entire life. And I'm always looking for something new, something great. People are always saying to me, you know, give me an idea, what can I start? I want to be an entrepreneur, but I've got no ideas. So this is so killer.
So Game for Humanity, I've got quite a colourful past in philanthropy. So I set up, just a long story short, I set up my own non-profit organisation in 2012 on my 31st birthday. And I've always been doing things for the community and trying to uplift people in general and try to spread positive vibes. And how do you just impact someone's day through a positive gesture or a random act of kindness? I thought, well, sometimes you think you should do it, but you never do it, but why don't you do it? And so I developed a card game, and I thought, what better way to do it than a pack of cards with 30 individual random acts of kindness tasks, which you're prompted to either complete on a daily or a weekly basis with your family members or friends. And they're simple things like donate blood or tip the waitress 50%, clean up litter, write a thank you note, tell someone you love them. Small things that we think we should be doing on a daily basis, but we sometimes don't. But just a piece of paper with some writing of giving someone a rose is tangible and it's fun and it's interactive. So let me go give someone a rose, and once I've given them the rose, I'll give them the card. And they'll continue promoting this random acts of kindness in a positive manner, or creating love, happiness, gratitude, and appreciation. So why can't we do that?
One little card can go all over the world. If I give someone a card, I deliver on what's on the card, I give someone the card. It's their job to then give the card to somebody else.
Well,
and it just goes on and on and
absolutely.
on and on. The card goes around the world.
Yeah, so what
the love goes around the world.
Spreading the love, that's our motto, spread the love. And whether you're doing it through a random act of kindness or you're doing it without a random act of kindness, just do it anyway. But by being able to do it, and we'll talk about how we're going to potentially be tracking these cards and the lifespan of these cards whenever you're ready.
You can talk about that now. I'm so excited about it, because that's what I really want to know. It's like, if I give someone a rose and it goes with a card, and then I would love to be on my app, be able to track, okay, that card just went there, it just went there, it just went there, it just went there. Okay, someone's sitting on the card.
So what we think of doing in this global age of social media and just easy access to information, we have to think of a way which is applicable in tracking these cards and filming or recording how many people we've affected in a positive manner with a lifespan of one card. So now at the moment we're looking at various applications which are going to be the most user-friendly applications, where you won't necessarily be able to send someone a prompted task, because we want to encourage people, the human interaction nature of actually giving a card to someone. But we will be doing is putting a QR code on each and every card, so once you do receive the card, you can enter your location through a geolocator, and you can insert either an image of yourself interacting with the person that you're completing the task with, and that will be tracked globally through these various birthplaces of these cards. And the only reason I think that came about so indirectly is because the feedback of this game has been so incredible. We're now looking at expanding to the American market on Amazon. We're looking at running a Kickstarter campaign, and we're looking at translating a version for Scandinavia. Germany's interested, Australia's interested. So through these manufacturing processes, we'll have a birthplace of where the place of birth is, and that will be a specific QR code. And when the card travels around the world, you'll see where it's been traveling to and how many people it's affected positively. So that's great.
And companies are buying like these packs. Are they changing the content, or are they just putting their branding on it? Does the content stay the same? So this is basically the values of a business. You could literally just make this, because everyone's, oh my goodness, so over values. Like, everybody has integrity, honesty, but like, how do you live it? So these are actually the values, like in action.
Yeah, so this is the community edition, which we want to make available to anyone and everyone, irrespective of your race, religion, age, or gender. And corporates do co-brand these cards. There's still a small secondary Game for Humanity logo with our brand identity, and corporates will use their own brand identity, their own logos, their own Pantone colors. So it becomes their edition. Excuse me. And they will then, obviously, we recommend for the community edition to keep the tasks themselves. We've also got a school edition, which are for kids aged 8 to 15, which focus on tasks of anti-racism, anti-bullying, appreciation of education, respecting your elders, recycling. So kids at school are starting to play the cards as well, which is incredible. Life skills coaches and principals are getting back to us saying that they see positive changes in the mindset and the attitude of the kids. And then the corporate side of things, we've also got a office edition, which works with camaraderie and productivity in the workplace. So it's specific to bigger corporates, and it helps with the productivity between their employees. So there's many aspects and many additions.
So like this, like really dovetails with who you are, because you didn't just come up with a great idea, but you really are passionate. I mean, you lived with the homeless people.
Yeah, I did.
Like a hobo.
I did, by choice. And it was fascinating.
Thanks for adding
by
that.
choice, thanks.
I lost everything and became a hobo. No, you did by choice. And so this, like, because everyone's talking about your passions and your expertise, and the two need to dovetail. And so this really is a passion and a hobby.
Yeah, it's a passion. And when I mentioned earlier about starting Dare to Share in 2012, my 30th birthday, to be honest, was completely rancid. It was over the top. I woke up in the morning with a headache from hell. I didn't remember half the evening. And a bill which was over 5 feet long of 260 people I invited to a club called The Reserve, and Art Matthews playing an open bar, and I felt so bad in the morning, not necessarily because my bank balance had depleted to such a degree, but I felt nauseated and I didn't know what else I could have done with the money. So on my 31st birthday, I went with 17 friends and we went to go cook at the Haven Night Shelter in Napier Street. And my birthday presents, I requested ingredients for all these guests. We cooked for 220 people, and that was the most valuable birthday party I've ever had. And that just grew on to more people wanting to do the same thing, and that's how Dare to Share, my non-profit organization, was created. And then I decided, how do I understand more about the lives of those less fortunate? So I grew my beard for 6 months, and one Monday morning I left my apartment, the comforts of a lovely apartment and my girlfriend, etc., and I decided to live on the street as a homeless person. Left with zero money, a notepad and a pen, and on my way out I got offered a blanket, and I was begging at robots, but before I thought in my mind, like, it's going to be fine, it's a week. It's almost cheating already, knowing it's only going to be a week. But I didn't have a piece of cardboard or an outline pen, and there I went to the depot at Adelphi Centre in Sea Point, and I asked for an old cardboard box, and I walked into a CNA and asked to borrow an outline pen, and the lady gave me R2, and I wrote homeless, and I was like, I still get goosebumps, literally.
That's amazing.
And then I had to beg at robots, and I tell you, making eye contact with anyone at a robot is the most demoralizing thing in life. Because now it's almost admitting that you have zero, and you're waiting for the reaction of people, and the reaction is always negative. They're rolling up the windows, they're telling you to get a job, they sit like 3 meters away from the car in front of you, and you go to their car, they pull up another 2 meters, and you're like, I was getting angry. Why are these people not helping me? I'm homeless. Okay? But then I realized going throughout the week, when I started spending time with a lot of the people who are homeless, that drugs and alcohol is a huge addiction and it's a huge problem. So giving someone that $5 at a robot for your own personal gratification and your own feel-good factor is the worst thing you can do. So the same thing I was like begging and pleading for in the beginning of the week was the same thing that I despise at the moment. And I preach completely against doing anything, facilitating a lifestyle of no responsibility. So then we started with job creation and trying to reintroduce these homeless people into society, which is it's a monumental effort, because the streets itself is the biggest drug. Because there are no rules, no regulations, your family members are your gang members, or people who sleep with under bridges, you've got nothing to lose. So living in a shelter becomes an issue, because now there's a time that you have to go to bed, and there's a time you have to wake up, and there's a time you can't come in there drunk. So now rules don't exist.
Also, a lot of these people come
just
from really broken homes, and they're not functional in like a job. In other words, they don't know how to handle conflict or
responsibility. So I mean that became a passion of mine, just wanting to assist as many people as possible. And I'm proud to say that 5 years in, we now support 38 registered charities in the Western Cape alone, and we provide clothing, food and toiletries to 61 families every Friday. So we're continuing to grow. The Game for Humanity is a perfect platform to get corporates on board and get them involved in just an aspirational project. And what we're also developing on our website now, on our e-commerce side, to be able to give back transparently through Game for Humanity, is when people purchase a Game for Humanity card, we'll ask you if you want to donate 5 or 10 rand. So obviously people will donate more because it's not their money. And that will be given transparently to a selection of beneficiaries. And at the end of every quarter, those beneficiaries will be paid out, but not with a monetary donation. It will be a product of their wish list that they wish to receive, because we don't want any money of donations going towards expenses. So it's just that becomes interactive again, which is what we're trying to achieve.
Wow, no, that's amazing. I think it's amazing.
Sure. Take a breath now. Gee, sorry, here's my review. But that's in a nutshell how it came about.
That's amazing. So you got the amazing idea, but also you'd walked the walk and you'd been on the streets, and then you realized that there's not enough love flowing, and so that idea then came out of that. So then, what was the first thing that you do once you got the idea? Like,
I was actually lying on a beach on holiday, and I got the idea, and I thought of immediately just random acts of kindness that I'd want to encourage people to do, but daily things that are tangible, they're easy, and they don't complicate your life, but it's something that you can do quite...
They'll make a big impact on the person who's receiving it.
Yeah, I mean, just saying hello to everyone today. I mean, have you ever said hello to anyone today? And not many people have, but the reactions of the recipients of saying a simple hello, they are shocked and they are horrible. That's crazy, but we are humans. The first, to break a conversation, to start a conversation is hello. Yet we find so often that on social media it's easy enough to go send someone a direct message on Facebook or their Instagram page, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Why can't we do it in front of each other?
Yeah.
And that's what you're trying to encourage. Like the social media side of things, it's got its huge pros. It's a great marketing tool for businesses, great advertising tool. But it breaks down it avoids the initial interaction of just human interaction and I mean, that's how we're supposed to get along.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah.
So it's just encouraging the basic traditions of I think.
So, but how did you get funding for the first productions? Did you bootstrap it?
No, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 17 years old, starting my own business. So I've been involved in literally 6 or 7 different industries. I'm still involved in about 5 of them with my own companies that are still there up in, again, various sectors. So it was self-financed.
Yeah.
And of course we started first with maybe 100 packs, and 100 became 1,000, 1,000 became 5,000, and now we're looking at considerably more with some corporate interest and again for international rollout.
Amazing. So what are you going to do about your competitors that are, or not competitors, literally just people that are going to make knockoffs of this?
Well, I think there's 2 sides. So I've patented the product, which I think I have to do, and I've trademarked the brand internationally. So the Game for Humanity, I mean, the Game for Humanity can't be tampered with, but I mean, if people want to do something which encourages positivity and helping others, then who am I to limit whatever their exposure is that they can create? I mean, that's what we're all trying to do. So let people do it. If there's someone that wants to do it, wherever they choose to, just affect people positively, and I'll probably be the one supporting them as well.
Sure.
It's great.
At the end of the day, if a competitor, because I mean, if somebody comes along and does your idea and they do it better than you, then they would have always done it better than you anyway.
And I'm going to do it better than them afterwards, because I'm going to learn.
Then you're going to copy.
I'm going to make it either cheaper or make it more convenient to get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
Challenge accepted. Bring it on.
Okay, awesome. So, so how do you go and find your customers? What do you do to find your...
At first what I was doing was just promoting a game of feeling positive and good about yourself, which I think people want to hear that they can do better. Normally people don't know that. How do they go about positively impacting someone's day? Do they donate to a charity, which many people do, and corporates do through CSI budgets and all the rest, but they're not physically involved in something. So I think as soon as the feel-good stories and the testimonials came back of people wanting to be more involved, and okay, I've given it to my friend, I mean, the word of mouth factor is priceless. It's the easiest, cheapest, the most honest way of marketing. And we found that every business that creates their own Game for Humanity pack, 3 other companies purchase packs. So at the moment it's just an incredible response, and I don't see any reason for it to die down. We continue to do our marketing. We've got a great range of advertorials and a great range of actual short clips that we're starting to promote soon, just with actual feel-good stories and testimonies of people and what their response is to the game. Nothing that we've proposed for them to say or promote, but their actual true feels and true feelings and testimonials about how it's positively impacted theirs and lives of others, and that's really what the game is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, like when I heard about it, I was like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. Immediately.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think one thing that we've realized is that everybody feels really crap about themselves, actually. A lot of people feel like, I can't do this, overwhelmed, you know. So I think that what I like about this is it's instead of affirming myself, what I'm doing is I'm doing something good for somebody else, and indirectly the trade-off is that I feel good about myself. So by giving to somebody else, I feel good.
Absolutely.
So it's not, I think if you're just looking all the time to make yourself feel good, do something for somebody else.
I agree, and I think the more that you focus on trying to do more for others without expecting anything in return for yourself, amazing and crazy things happen as long as you don't expect anything in return. If you're openly giving to a certain degree, I mean, I'm not asking or telling anyone to give until you're broke or give until you don't have a place to stay at home. Obviously, your charity starts at home and you do what you can, but saying hello to everybody today doesn't cost you anything.
Exactly.
Or letting someone skip the queue doesn't cost you anything. But it impacts their life in such a, I think, dramatic fashion that if you don't feel good about yourself after doing something for someone else, then what are you going to feel good about?
So if I do something, so let's say for example, I give someone a hug, which is amazing because I was listening to, which TV show? I was watching a TV show last night and they were saying how you live in this big city and nobody hugs you. And I remember when I lived in London and in Melbourne, you know, like you can go a whole, you know, if you're not around family and like really close friends, you can go like a whole year without just like someone like giving you like a, you know, like just like, so give someone a hug is really cool. So if, let's say I lived out this card, how would I social media social media, and then I tag myself in and I tag you in. I tag you in and I hashtag and...
The great way of following this card is that, it's not a rule or regulation for you to have to post, it's just a great way of tracking what interaction we have with people who partake in the tasks. But if you're doing it and you're not posting it, great. Just do it. You know what I mean?
It's not just for the social media.
No, the social media side of things is a bonus, and it's there to advertise and to make prevalent of what people are doing and achieving, and if we market it, great, but just by you doing it, you really change someone's day and maybe the aspect of their output.
But social media does have the power to amplify this and put a magnifying glass on that one random act of kindness. So somebody doesn't have a card because they're living in wherever, Uzbekistan, but they see my post and so they do the same thing even though they don't have a card.
Correct. But I mean, if, for example, about giving someone a hug and taking a photo, so I mean, if you took a photo of you with your arm around someone and you're holding the card, great. Or if you took a photo of them holding the card after you've given them a hug, great. And we've all got our, I suppose, our social media accounts of the Instagrams, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the rest. So we put a social media handle on all the cards, and if corporates want to get involved, they create either their own hashtag or we put their social media handles on, so it creates their own sort of their own platform to also not target, but also to express what the feedback has been from people that have been targeted or have been involved in the campaign.
No, I think it's amazing. So yeah, I think everyone needs to get a hold of the card. So if they want to get a hold of the card, they go to gameforhumanity.com.
Yes, www.gameforhumanity.com. The Facebook is Game for Humanity, Instagram is @GameForHumanity, Twitter is @GameForHumanity. And for any inquiries or any questions, info@gameforhumanity.com, and we'll get back to absolutely each and every one of them.
Awesome. Sounds amazing. Okay, so next we're going to get into a couple of questions from some of our viewers. So question number one is, how do you evaluate new social networks and how do you know which social media network is right for your business? So what have you found in your experience?
I employ a PR company and knows exactly the answer to that. I mean, for me it's been trial and error. I think the social media side of, and being able to advertise and market a page almost for when the return on investment in social media is insane. The target, because you create obviously your demographic and your target audience, and they filter it out to an audience that you would normally not have any access to.
It's a big pool, actually ocean that you can go fishing in for new clients.
Correct, and they're segmenting that audience for you. So that I think is the most, it's an incredible platform.
Yeah.
The mainstream type media, again I said word of mouth, and just putting time, effort in, but time into let's go together as a team and let's go create some change in an area which is less fortunate. Let's go cook, like the one card says, go cook at a homeless shelter. You won't believe the feel-good factor that everyone gets, and the power of social media is when people start hearing and feeling feel-good stories, they don't mind sharing it because we're so bombarded with the negativity of crime, corruption. It's in our face all the time, so it's a breath of fresh air to hear a great positive story. And if I can elaborate, I'll just, from our non-profit organisation, my mom recently went to a Pep stores in Parklands, and she was buying 14 sets of pajamas for a safe house that we're looking after in the West Coast. And upon buying it, there was a lady working as a casual worker who was doing a stock take, and she asked Mom what she was buying all the clothing for. Mom said no, it's for a charity, etc. And the lady said she wanted to get involved and donate 9 Rand of her, there was the last 9 Rand that she had in her pocket, and says, Mom, I want you to take it. My mom refused. Eventually she said, just buy a loaf of bread for the children or something. So Mom thought it was such a great gesture that she phoned Pep head office, which in turn acknowledged that the lady was working in the store, etc. And then I wrote a post about it on Facebook, which reached over 1 million people in 5 days. It was shared 26,000 times.
Wow.
It was over 70,000 likes.
Wow.
And this woman is now employed permanently. Both of her kids, one of her kids, as far as I know, school, the education has been contributed to. She was taken for lunch that Sunday. The kids never been to a restaurant. Taken for lunch by a friend of mine at Grubs Up restaurant in Klein-Dassenberg area. And so they were treated to lunch and milkshakes. But I mean, this woman's life has now changed. She's now got a permanent position. She doesn't have a matric. That was the reason why she was a casual worker. But they've now employed her permanently, and through good, positive deeds, and people were sharing it. So now she became the hero of something which I think, do good and you should be the hero. Maybe not as recognized to such a degree, But good things come to people who do good things.
That's amazing.
So that's the power of social media.
That social media, the way it was meant to be used is to share great stories.
100% correct.
Great stories, and to change people's lives positively. We always say if you use social media properly, it can literally change the trajectory of your life.
100%.
And it just takes someone like you to highlight the good in someone. So that's awesome. I mean, what a good story. Okay, so do you have a team? Have you got like a staff or?
I've got a primary designer that works on all the digital mock-up and the versions for all the corporates, but through the various industries that I've been based in, I'm great at conceptualizing and taking things to market. But selling things, don't ask me to decide. If the Eskimos here and you got ice, I'm clueless. I'm ducking.
So you can come up with the idea and you can make the idea.
Yeah.
But who does your selling for you?
And I've got a team of people who promote the brand, and they work, a lot of them freelance and then consult. And the idea that I've got with this, even Game for Humanity, and anyone's listening, Game for Humanity is a game that could be sold anywhere with a point of sale. Yeah. It could be sold by anyone as well, and you get a profit share of the business or turnover. So
everyone's your agent.
Everyone, if you want to create positive good and you want to be involved, get involved. I mean, and earn what you could earn. It's the same as, like, not necessarily saying like a Herbalife, for example, but you've got agents everywhere, and then they're part-time. They can access a school in Pretoria that I didn't even know exists. So let them promote the game, let them get rewarded amicably for their time and effort.
So if they go on your website, is there like an agent's link?
There's an agent's link, but there's an email address, and that's a start. So but we get a lot of response from people asking how they can be involved and how can they be employed. And I mean, employment's one thing, but working together as a team, I think, is way more powerful than who wants to work for a boss? I mean, working for a boss, and you got a salary, and no matter how hard you work for that boss, and no matter sitting in traffic for 4 hours a day. They're not here. They're not here.
True. Not you guys. You guys.
No. This is, and I was about to explain why. But I could never work for anyone, and purely because I think I'm too creative. And I wake up at 4:30 every morning, even now, and I go to bed at 7:30. And if I wake up at like 2 o'clock at night with an idea, I'm going to go straight for it. I'm going to have to run it past anyone or get it approved by anyone. I'm going to learn my own lessons, and a lot of the time it doesn't work, but every time it doesn't work, I learn what doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do it again. But I think just encouraging people to go out there and do your own thing without trying, like, getting 50 things wrong. You're not going to get the 51st thing right. Yeah. So make mistakes. Mistakes are great. I love making mistakes. It teaches me what not to do.
But I think where people struggle to leave corporate hell and to go on the entrepreneurial journey is with the finances. You know, you're still getting that paycheck, those golden handcuffs. You know, so every month you get that paycheck and they're worried about going to zero.
No, they should be worried. Yeah. So it's life change of notes. So why not just put aside, like you would normally do, for an annuity or a retirement fund, put it into something that could create anything but retirement. Yeah. You're putting your X amount of £1,000 every month into a retirement fund, so when you're 60 one day, you're going to lose that money anyway through inflation and all the rest. I mean, who knows, the property prices drop and then you're going to lose that as well. But if you put 2, 3 or 5 grand away every month, and in 10 years time you've got, what, 5 grand a month, 60 grand, now you've got 600,000 rand to start a business with. A lot of our business started with 500 grand or 1,000 rand. Now you've got then you've got a platform more than what anyone else has ever had.
Yeah, you've got at least a 6 month to 1 year runway that you can make something work.
Go for it. Yeah. So there's one way of doing it. There's so many other ways. Or just do something part-time after hours.
It's actually a bloody good idea. So for my kids, when they start working, because I want them to get real life experience and you know, sometimes working in corporate has its values because it teaches you stuff.
Yes.
And look, that's the journey I went, but it's not necessarily their journey. I know that millennials and whatever they are, Generation
X.
Z, they're Z.
Okay, that was the last movie I watched. Is that movie or cartoon?
I think we're Generation X.
Yeah, we might be. There's millennials.
Generation Y, Generation Z. So they're Zs. So,
but you're sitting here wondering why.
Yeah, why am I sitting here? But yeah, so instead of, so basically you're saving for your kids' universities and whatever, but maybe at the same time you're saving for their entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, I mean, the world in general, I mean, you can put yourself in a corporate environment, you can learn a lot in a corporate environment. You're limited to what you can learn in a corporate environment. If you go out there and you travel and you meet people and life skills, there's no such thing as life skills. I mean,
listen, I was a waitress and I learned about project management, customer service.
And you learn it quickly.
I learned it flipping quickly. So yeah, waitressing was amazing for me.
But I mean, even these days, you can learn and study. You can get your MBA. You can get your MBA online almost. I mean, there's so many different things that the world is changing.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows if there's even going to be retail space in the next 10 years. Everything's e-commerce. I mean, there's so many things are changing in terms of what we grew up thinking was the norm, and now this generation Y or the millennials, they got the other way of doing things. And if we don't adapt our businesses and our minds to what they want to achieve, and everything's online, I mean,
I was
tablets and all the rest. And
yesterday I heard about Watson. In America, they've got this app, Watson, which is basically legal. Your lawyer. You're not going to need a lawyer anymore because you've got apps or websites where you just go online and everything's there. So I think being an entrepreneur is the future.
Yeah, I agree. But there's still going to be people that work with or work for entrepreneurs. But rather be someone who's going to be assisted by others than be someone assisting someone. I mean, I couldn't imagine working under with specific time frames, or just do what you want to do. If you want it badly enough, you're going to achieve it. If you avoid all the negativity and the potential, I mean, there's temptation for everyone in various aspects, irrespective of what your nature is and irrespective of your personality. But you know what you should and be doing. If you can, and it's a process of elimination in terms of learning the hard way. Everyone learns the hard way, but how often do you want to learn the hard way?
Okay, but now my question is, because I've got a couple of really incredible, gifted, like intelligent experts, friends that decided to become an entrepreneur, and they are not cutting it, they didn't cut it, and they had to close their companies and go back to corporate hell. So like if you're literally ticking all the boxes but it's still not working for you, like how did you ever face a time when you just
I face a time all the time. Yeah, I mean, to give you an idea, my first business I started when I was 17. It was a company called Dirty South, and it was a clothing company. And there was a brand called Von Dutch, which sold caps in South Africa, and they were like 700-800 rand. So I went to YDE, and I took all their designs, all their type of material they used, and I put a Dirty South. I manufactured locally in South Africa, but I made the brand affordable. So I offered international standard quality, manufacturing South Africa, creating jobs when I was 17. And just put a Dirty South badge where the Von Dutch badge was. And that sold over like sometimes 1,000 odd caps a month in the YDE stores, the 13 YDE stores I was in. And that's great for a 17 or 18 year old to achieve. So that then opened doors for me I started another brand called Regulation, a golf clothing brand, because I was interested in golf clothing. And then I thought, let me be the first guy to try and make bright coloured cabretta leather golf gloves, because golf's boring, it's beige, navy, black, white. And then I found a supplier in Pakistan. I put my first order and came back great, but most of what the cash I had left and the order came back was a flop. And I couldn't get hold of these guys anymore. And I was like, grief. I think I still got some in my parents' cupboard. This is like almost 20 years ago. And then you hit the floor, you're like, oh my God, now I should start again from scratch. And you start again from scratch. But I could have got a job then and thought, damn, now what have I done? And if this is entrepreneurship, then I'm out. But then I tried again, and I registered a company which was a concierge business. When South Africa won the bid for the World Cup in 2006, I was watching the show, with broadcasting live from Germany, I think it was, and they said South Africa won the bid. And that day I registered a concierge company. I spent 4 years meeting clients, corporates, everything that a person coming to South Africa would want to do, bars, clubs, restaurants, jewelers, transport companies, whatever, security companies, the works. It took me 4 years. And then I was approached by someone representing the Greek national team from Piraeus Bank, who was sponsoring the team, and I looked after the Greek national team, all the players, all their families, all the supporters clubs, looked after some of the Spanish teams, the works, 814 people for 6 weeks.
Wow.
Purely because I had all my ducks in a row, but for 4 years I didn't earn much, I lived on the breadline, but I knew that by that time and effort, by the time the World Cup came around, I was going to make something happen, and something happened.
And did that make it work for 4 years?
Absolutely. Yeah. In that 6 week period, it was insane. And I'd set up a company for me that runs November to March every year, like seamlessly through season, with return clients from all those.
So it's still going, still working. Wow.
That still goes, and then from there.
Somebody manages that for you?
Yeah, someone manages that.
Is it a whole team or just one person?
Just a team of 2, and then interns that study tourism at UCT, so they get their
slave wages. Yeah.
Not slave wages, but they're getting experience they wouldn't normally have. Sure. I'm not paying as much as what I probably should be having professionals on board, but I can't promise them a job for 12 months. So who's going to freelance for 5 or 6 months besides a student? Yeah. So that's great. So I mean, it's cool. So things happen. Sometimes it's a great day, and sometimes it's a terrible day. But a bad day doesn't dictate the rest of your life, for sure. Even though sometimes it feels like it.
No, look. I mean, if you worked in corporate hell, you'd have a bad day every day.
Damn straight, that's why we don't.
No, so now as an entrepreneur, you've got a bad day every once in a while. But
Yeah,
they call it, so I must find out who used the quote schizophrenia. They say it's actually more like bipolarpreneur. Up one day, down the next day, up. Not even
if bipolar becomes like tripolar, so there's a lot more than bipolar, there's many more emotions than that. But I wrote something this morning which I thought about after I actually wrote it, and like Monday is a new start to correct the mistakes you made last week. And everyone like hates Monday, oh the weekend, but I'm excited, I was excited for Monday, obviously meeting you guys, and I know I did one or two things that I could have done slightly better or worked harder on last week, and I look forward to now achieving those things this week.
It's amazing how something can be such a small epiphany, something can be so obvious, but yet such a profound epiphany that can literally just like sharpen. And that's what I find as an entrepreneur. Like every day, I'm getting, it sharpens your journey and just sharpens the focus and sharpens the delivery. And
that's
you never ever get to that point of absolute perfection. There's always just the sharpening, but you're coming from this really blunt blade.
True.
To sharper and sharper and sharper and sharper.
Entrepreneurs, I think we have this like moral understanding that we're always going to want to over-exceed and always want to overachieve. So whether we'll be eternally happy, who knows? We'll strive for it until we can potentially get there. And then once we've achieved it, we're going to want something else. Once we've achieved it, but through that achievement in the long run, if we look back and just sit back and like not only through like being grateful of what we've achieved and what we have around us, but just go like, wow, what a journey and look where you started from there.
And you never traded for anything else.
No, so you'll start your end, but I mean it goes like that.
Yeah.
But still, as long as you're on like a common incline and you're making things happen in whatever industry you are, that's when you take your hat off and you go, wow, well done. So give yourself some credit sometimes as well.
It's true. Plus all the jobs we've created on the way.
That as well.
So I think
4, 5, 6, geez, like 17 of them now.
Okay, so let's have a look at question number 3. Have you ever been at a point in life where you had multiple options for what you want to do and how you end up choosing to take your life in the direction you took it in? Have you been at a point in life where you had multiple options? Okay, so the road forked.
Yes.
And what made you choose the path that you wanted? So,
yeah, I think being an entrepreneur, and you all know, there's opportunities are endless, and it's difficult to follow through what you think you're going to be the most passionate of. So you almost give everything a chance, but by giving everything a chance, you're diluting your interest in one of them.
Exactly.
And until you give yourself an opportunity to focus on one thing wholeheartedly, you don't know what you can achieve.
Exactly. So this is the fine balance for me, because as an entrepreneur, I've never struggled with ideas. I've always got irons in the fire. But what I've realized this year is that you can't batter every iron and get anything to a decent amount of sharpness of a sword, going back to the sword analogy. So you kind of have to focus on one. So you kind of focus on the one where you think it's got the biggest opportunity and it's the easiest. Or it's
I hear you. And
how do you choose which one?
Well, I've gone for the one which feels most natural to me, and that's philanthropy.
Yeah.
So I focus on what I wake up every morning is to see how I can positively impact someone's life, and by wanting to achieve that, I came up with a model or business which not only can achieve happiness for a lot of people, but I can create an income for myself in a transparent manner. I'm not charging the £1,000 for something which cost me 100. I'm making a little bit of it. I mean, the manufacturing of these cards, there's a minimal margin at wholesale, a fraction. But more people are doing it. It's a quantity-based business. But the more people I want to impact from this, the bigger opportunity it allows me to make an income.
So you've established, because everyone's banging on about your why, so you know what your why is.
Yes. If I, and like these other businesses that I'm, like concierge, at the time it was what I wanted to do, because I wanted to network, I wanted to meet people. So then it was perfect.
Yeah.
The clothing and the cap scenario, that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to create something which if I saw people wearing, I'd have a feel-good factor for myself. And then when I hit the nail on the head was when I help people, I feel the best out of any of those other businesses. But it took me a long time to think of how do you sustainably provide an income for yourself by helping other people. And I didn't even have a solution, but I just carried on doing it. And luckily I was sustaining myself and my lifestyle by other business interests and investments that I had made in the past. But that was also, again, I mean, maybe some people call it luck. I mean, it's not luck. Everyone sees what the end case scenario is. Oh, jeez, what a lucky guy. I mean, that must have been a good meeting. No one sees how you grind. Yeah, no one sees how your mates are going out on the Friday and the Saturday. You're at home and you're just researching networking for a whole weekend, or weekends or months and years on end.
Yeah.
It just becomes that guy's lucky. Well, that's just something that's frustrated people to say.
No, I completely agree with you. There's no such thing as like it's all flipping hard work. And like I always say, there's a little halo of light where I'm walking. And sometimes when I feel all dark and like like my brain is confused. I'm like, okay, I've left the path of light somehow. What have I changed? Oh, I was about to partner with these people or considering this option. Bad path. Let me go back to where I feel this is the path of light for me.
Yes.
So like that's my analogies. I just walk and push, and if I hit absolute resistance, I'm like, okay, wait, this is not working.
You know, no one else knows but you.
Yeah. And you're just sweating it the whole time in your head, just like, is this right? Is this right? What about this? What about this?
But that time comes for everyone depending on how much they're willing to sacrifice and how much they're willing to push. And some people, as you say, they'll try and they'll try and they'll try and they might fail. And that's it. They'll give up.
Yeah.
But it has to come to those who try and persevere and are consistent in like their primary goal and wanting to achieve it. It has to. It's impossible not to. Because you'll get what you put in. Simple. The same as any business.
Exactly. So I think that's what I forgot, which I remember now, which is I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they never become entrepreneurs because they've got all these this bank and this wealth of ideas, but they may have developed prototypes, but they never leave. I don't know, they never kick off. Like their wheels are just spinning in the mud.
The fear of failure, I think specifically the fear of failure. Because you're living in a corporate environment, you've got the stability of you know what you're getting in the month, irrespective, a lot of the time irrespective of what you achieve. This is guaranteed, that's guaranteed, so your lifestyle's guaranteed. But the risk of failure and the risk of assuming or being too obsessed with what people think of you. To many people it's uncomfortable, starting a business from scratch, maybe to downgrade their house, selling a car.
Yeah.
Like that public persona suddenly is not there anymore, so that's the safety blanket.
That's true.
But who cares really?
Yeah.
I mean, would you rather just try and lose potentially a car when you're 18, 20, with this clouded environment of what could have been?
Yeah.
I refuse to go out saying what if.
No.
So I'm going to try whatever I can, learn wherever I can, and if I fail the next 10, 15, whatever, 20 projects, I'm going to try the 21st project.
So I think a lot of people are stuck with kids and responsibilities and a bond and a home, and then they're like, well, I can't because of X. But like you said earlier, if you really want something, you can. Go and sell your house. My brother did this. He decided he wanted to be a pilot. So he literally sold his house. He paid off a year's worth of pilot lessons, and he paid off a year's worth of rent on an apartment. And he completely stopped his career and he became a pilot.
And that's ballsy as well. But I mean,
he just took the leap.
To risk absolutely everything, I don't know if that's the most guided approach, but I mean, calculated risk certainly exists. But do your research before you actually sell the house and just figure out what the viability is of a business existing. And people get passionate, I want to open a coffee shop, for example, and I'm going to sell my house.
A restaurant. If I hear somebody saying they want a restaurant, I'm like, do you really want to work like a dog? If you want to work like a dog, then open a restaurant. Take your entire retirement, because this is what people are saying, I want to take their retirement and open a restaurant. Never. You've never worked that hard.
But people often fall into the same mistake of being so overly passionate and so overly proud about their concept that it cannot fail without doing the market research.
Like diamonds in champagne and then not researching the market.
Exactly, look what happened to us. We learned a valuable lesson, pun intended.
No, but that's what I keep saying to people, like if you've got an idea, do the damn research. Like I don't know, just a South African thing, but we just want to do. We don't want to actually like think. But there's this one example I use in one of my shows. This entrepreneur, must find his name as well, and he's a serial entrepreneur in America. And he's sold, let's say, 7 companies for $1 million, over $1 million each. But he researches an industry up to a year. Before getting into it. He knows every competitor, he knows every pain point of every customer, he knows the solution, he knows the problem, he knows what he's going to do better.
Exactly. Well,
and
he's
he
done
actually
his
does his
homework.
Yeah, and then he can come up with something, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be different, and these are the clients and this is the message, these are the problems, these are the constraints.
And I think it proves in my own definitely my own, the practicality of I did research for 4 years and grew my client relationships, and that's a business still sustainable.
Exactly.
And the ones that we just jump into wishing and hoping for the best, I mean, maybe fortunate at first, but towards when the push comes to shove, and we don't do the research that we should have, then things go wrong.
Look, when I started Shift One, I did no research whatsoever. I was like, what do I do?
But you've got a personality, so that'll get you through most of it.
Just wing it.
just wing it.
Tell my clients. Fake it till you make it. Okay, cool. Question number 4. So how do you decide which projects to pursue and which to pass on?
Interesting. I think, I don't want to read it unless I suppose from like an angel investment perspective, and you can see that there's something that's tangible. And I mean, you relay a lot of the business proposals that you receive onto people who actually, they crunch numbers and they'll tell you if it's viable or not. I mean, if I could, I'd want to help I'd want to open like a safe house, for example, but that would be more of a passion project than something that's going to create income. But I then have to have sustainable enough income to cover that. That's my passion.
So not a rehab.
No, a safe house. So like my passion is helping people. So if I want to try create like a safe house for kids to go to if they're in abusive relationships or something. That's not necessarily a business model because the government won't fund it.
No.
So I've got a different sort of outlook on different.
Metric.
Yeah, metric. But investment side of things, I often hear about opportunities that come along. Some of them are small, some of them aren't. And I'll just get advice from people who know more than what I do, because I don't know everything about in terms of investments and the value adds and the returns investments and
But you get involved with things that are in line with your brand. So
your
brand is Marc Buhrer, and you only do things that make a difference in people's lives.
Absolutely. So now the brand extensions, for example, the non-profit organisation, we spoke to food technologists because I wanted to try and make meals readily available for people on the streets instead of giving them money. So we worked with a food technologist, and we came up with a meal we named the Yummy Meal. And it's a soy-based product where you add just boiling water, and in 30 minutes, or 25 to 30 minutes, you've got a ready-made meal for 4 adults. And it retails at under 20 rand.
Wow.
So that took us a few months to, but that's again, it's an add-on in terms of a service, but it's a product, and it can generate income. But it's in line with what I want to try to achieve, so making food accessible to more people, whether it's in mining areas or somewhere in Africa. People can donate and donate it, or give it to someone on the streets instead of giving them 10 rand. So I've got to try, and it's a constant battle for myself to try remain focused on what my primary intentions are, my primary interests are. And if my intentions and my interests are philanthropy, then I'm not going to stray away from that.
That's awesome. No, I agree with that completely. Cool, alright. Thank you so much, Marc. That's it for episode 11. I hope everyone got some good value out of that. I know I learned a lot. Thanks to everyone for watching. And Marc, so is any final advice you want to give our viewers to wrap up?
Wake up early, drink lots of water, don't go out with your friends on Friday and Saturday. Focus on your intentions and never give up.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.